Today on TFT Gear, I'll be reviewing the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20. This is the Scarlett 18i20. It's a USB recording interface that's named for its inputs and outputs. That's right, 18 ins and 20 outs. Now, before you get too excited and think, wait, I can just buy this and pull it out of the box and I have 18 inputs, let's take a minute and look at the front panel and the back and you'll understand a little bit better, all right? So let's count them. On the front, you have channels 1 and 2. Both combo jacks will take an XLR or an instrument cable. You have your 8 preamp gain controls. Metering next to that, which I never really use because I always meter in my DAW. You have the master volume control with a dim and a mute, and then your 2 headphone outputs with their own dedicated volume knobs. Let's flip it over to the back. And there you have channels 3 through 8 of inputs, also combo jacks. And then next to that, you start getting into outputs. You got 10 channels of balanced TRS outputs. Channels 1 and 2 are dedicated to your studio monitors. And next to that is the ADAT input and output. Now this is what takes the input count from 8 up to 16, right? Because the ADAT input will do 8 channels of ADAT. So you actually have to have a whole nother device that has 8 channels of preamps, like an Octopre or something like that with an ADAT output that you'll then connect to your 18i20, and that will give you 16 channels of preamp inputs. So it's not like you can just bust this thing right out of the box and all of a sudden start recording 16 channels of drums, you know, recording Danny Carey or something like that. I mean, really, he's probably got 100 lines to his drum kit, I'm sure, but you get the point. Next to that, you have the word clock, and then you have the USB, MIDI in and out, and then the final inputs and outputs is SPDIF. So that takes your count up to 18 inputs and 20 outputs. It will record at bit rates of 16 or 24 bits and resolutions all the way up to 192K. It comes with the Focusrite control app, which allows you to do routing within the hardware without a DAW. So if you wanted to monitor a source in headphones without it going through your DAW, you could do that in the Focusrite control app. This is actually the second review that I've done of the 18i20, and that's because the first one that I did, it was actually a fairly negative review, but I knew that I was about to upgrade my recording rig, and so I wanted to wait before I released it just to make sure that that upgrade did not resolve some of those issues. And so I upgraded from Windows 7 to Windows 10, and as soon as I got Windows 10, all of the broken issues went away, and it's been a much better interface since then. So I didn't release the first one, and now, you know, a year later, or however long, I decided to do a second one. So, I mean, if you're out there on Windows 7 or 8 or any of the other numbers, you know, upgrade to Windows 10. And if you're gonna say, well, your problem is, you know, Windows machine, I don't care, okay? I use both Windows and Apple, and both work really well. Now on to the looks of this thing. Yeah, it's called the Scarlett, so of course they had to go with that nice red color. It's got this kind of brushed metal look. It looks really nice. The only problem with it is that it's on the top and not on the front, and as soon as you rack mount this thing, all that pretty red goes away, which is kind of sad because it does look really nice, and if you saw my Ernie Ball review, you know that I like red. So it would have been cool if they kind of incorporated some of that into the front so that it could maintain that style even when it's racked up with all your equipment. It does have a lot of I/O right out of the box, even though it doesn't have 18 channels of preamps ready to go as you might think from the name. 8 channels for this price range is still really good. You can still, you know, open it up and record a basic drum kit or even a small band with 8 lines, right? You're not going to be doing, like I said, some super elaborate recording, but you know, if you add that Octopre and then get up to 16 channels, you can do a lot with 16 channels. The preamps built in, they have a lot of headroom. Super good for something like a SM7B that just requires you to crank up your gain. This can handle it really easily, and the preamps are very clean. They're not going to do much to your sound at all. One of my favorite things about it is actually these two headphone outputs right on the front with their own volume control. If you're recording something like an acoustic duet or something like that, and you don't want to have to go through a more elaborate headphone setup, it's really nice to have the two outputs right here. You just plug in your headphones and they get their own mix, but they have their own volume controls. So that aspect of it is super nice. But if you look at the back, all those outputs, the TRS outputs, give you the ability, if you need to do something more elaborate with headphones, you have all the outputs that you need. Also, if you like doing dynamic controls with outboard compression, any kind of outboard gear like that, with all this I/O, you are going to have the ability to do that for a couple of channels. One of my other favorite things about the 18i20 is actually not the interface itself, but the plugin bundle that came with it, because the plugins are actually really nice. The drummer limiter I use on my master bus on almost every song. I love the way that it sounds. It's super subtle and transparent. Also, soft tubes saturation knob. It's awesome for vocals. I like to give my vocals a little bit of grit, and the soft tube plugin is way better than the Pro Tools stock plugin. There are a couple other plugins that come with it that I use on occasion, but I mean, overall, really good, well-rounded package. Now let's talk about a few things that I don't like about the 18i20. Now, I did say these preamps are nice and clean and have a ton of headroom, and that's true. If you want to plug a mic or an instrument in and not hear your preamps, then these will be good for you. But I actually like for my preamps to add some color, add some character to my sound. I want to plug something in and the preamp actually make it sound better. And for that reason, I'm not a huge fan of the Focusrite pre's. Also, the control app I find to be more cumbersome than anything else, because by default, a lot of the headphone buses and stuff are on. So I'll start a session in my DAW, and then I'll get everything going. And then I'm hearing my source, my instrument or my mic, from both my DAW as well as the control app. So I have to open up the control app, mute everything in there, so I'm just hearing it from one place. If you want to monitor straight from your interface, you can, but I prefer to do everything just through my DAW, and so for that reason, I find it to be more annoying than anything else. Coming in at $499 retail, the Focusrite Scarlett 18i20 packs a real punch. Even though you do have to buy an additional piece of gear to take your preamp count from 8 up to 16, it still has a ton of I/O right out of the box. In fact, if you're looking in that price range, you only have a few options. And I would say the Focusrite is probably one of your better choices. However, if you're looking for preamps that are going to add tone and character to your sound, this isn't for you. And especially if you're only looking for a couple of inputs and outputs, I would say you're better off saving your money and spending it elsewhere. Thanks for watching my review, guys. As always, please leave a comment down below, hit that like button, and you can click right here to subscribe. If you want to check out more gear, I'll leave a link right here. If you want to go to my music channel, check out some of the stuff I've recorded on this interface, you can go right here. Thank you guys again. We'll see you next time.